Hey y'all, and welcome to Crafting in the Dark with Unseen Strands, where I, your host Mo, am visually impaired and will be sharing with you my fiber arts journey as well as strands of the rest of my life. I come to you from central Iowa, where I live with my 4 boys, my husband, our 3 cats, and our dog, and as you can hear, the littles aren't exactly happy. This will be another mini episode, and I'll be right back if I can try and get them to settle down a little bit. Let's try this again. Yeah, I'm going to be a little all over the place, not like that's a surprise to anyone, but yesterday was kind of a really bad day for me, and today is just not progressing, I guess, and so I'm a little scatterbrained and all that jazz, as usual. And then we'll get into more of that later on. But here is the finished hank that I shared with you last week. And that is my hand spun. This is a fiber that I got from Paradise Fibers. It is in Ashford or Ash something. So it comes from overseas. And, you know, Paradise Fibers is the seller. It is a merino alpaca blend. And it is for a sweater spin. So that was approximately, let's see if I can remember, 236 yards, I think, and it's about 150 grams. So that's that one in progress, or in, the project is in progress, but that is a finished hand spun hank. Then I have, not that the ends have been woven in, I mean, surprise, that's kind of an ongoing theme. So yeah, I still have ends, and I still have to take out stitch markers like this one has it. But here are Jeremy socks, and yes, these fit me, just in case you were curious. This is the Ghost Forest colorway. This is a Whimsical Wood Yarn Co. yarn, and hopefully I'll be seeing her later this month when we go to the, what's it called? Fiberpalooza. And yeah, those are done with the Karen's socks from KB Fibers. I was one of those that got her pattern. I have done, I start with a 12 stitches for the toe, increase to 56, and did 45 rows of stockinette, and then increased. I only did 48 stitches for the increase for the heel, and hopefully these aren't too big for him, but I figured he can always grow into them. And then I did, let's see, since these are his birthday socks, because he'll be turning 13 on Friday, I went ahead and did 3 sets of 13, so that's 39 for the bottom or the top of the sock, and then 26 because 2 times 13 for his ribbed cuff. And as usual, it is the 2x2 ribbing, or 2x3 ribbing for that. And those have actually moved over into the pickle bag because I have to finish those off. I have not weighed that and seen how much I have left, but I still have a good amount left over. So either I'll be offering that to people. I still have to make a flower out of this, but I don't know if we'll make more out of that or if it'll go into my gifts for someone else eventually. That is the finished objects. And then for works in progress, now in the My Little Pony bag, which is, both these bags have been the Silverstead USA. I have a new color. This is a Yarn Geek Fibers. I don't remember the particular scientist's name, but it is a marine biologist, which is kind of a funny play on words for me because we are big Futurama fans, and there's an episode where they go whale biologist. So that's what I think of whenever I hear marine biologist. This is how far I've gotten. I believe I was on just starting row 20 of my 2x5 ribbing, and of course I'm doing the How I Make My Socks Again by Susan Anderson, and I have my stitch marker that I actually won from Knit and Purl. Knit and Purl? I think so. She is a Missouri podcaster, and her purl is P-E-A-R-L-S instead of P-U-R-L-S, because hers is wisdom pearls, which was health-ish things. Those again are being done on my 2.5 millimeter, 1.5 US size, 9-inch Chagu circulars, which is what they have right now. And yeah, that is so far going to be my my March socks and my Pisces themed make along. So that is in the Quirky Monday podcast group. As for, I'm going to switch over to this side. I have put in, speaking of Quirky Monday, this is one of Kalicia's bags that I actually won from Rel of the Dabbling Hook. And I am working, I put that in there just because I was kind of running out of bags here. But I have this beautiful corner to corner blanket started. Now this yarn is actually something that will be showing up in my monthly mail day. It is a yarn that I got from Becky. For right now, the Preemie project, the campaigns they have going don't feature the colors that she sent me, but I can use this definitely for bereavement blankets, which is what this is. This is the Spring into Summer pattern by Susan Carlson, I believe. It was something Carlson, I think it was Susan. It is a pattern that you can find on Ravelry, but it is felted something. It's a blog post, but you could also find her on Etsy, or at least the posting says. I don't know how up to date that post is because it is a very old pattern. There are over 1,000 of these blankets, which is not very common, as you may all know, for crocheted items. But this is the yarn, and I am using my favorite 3.75 millimeter F-hook, which is one of my Clover soft touches that I got from one of the local yarn stores during last year's shop hop because they had those on clearance. And yeah, that it's probably about 2 feet long on the sides right now, and I am shooting for probably about 29 inches because there's about an inch of border on that. And I do not recommend the pattern for how it suggests for you to start, but I did make some pattern notes on my project page. Of course, right now those are over on Ravelry. At some point I'll get a project blog up also on FiberKind to kind of let you know, and because I think the FiberKind stuff is more public, because I recently found out that the project pages are only available to Ravelry users, where I thought that the project page, as long as you didn't have it private, that it was available to anyone. But I did find out you have to be logged in to access those. So I definitely want to start moving more stuff over, but you know, everything takes time and I am too scatterbrained. I am using that hook because I'm trying to keep things very simple, where all of my Preemie project stuff is kind of using the same supplies, just so that I can keep a better track on it. So, to go along with that theme, in my Sticks and Strings 2019 bag, which is the Silver Shed USA, I have my the Preemie project, and I am working on the blue set of booties. Actually, I don't know where the red set ran off to. I'm going to have to find where the littles have misplaced that. But here is the first one. And this is a pattern that they just have a Google Docs on they're a Ravelry group, or at least how I found them originally was through a Ravelry group. There's a web page also for the Premium project, but this particular pattern is one of their pages of recommended patterns on their Ravelry group. There's a section called pages, and then they have that as a note. It's just like crochet booties. But yeah, that's also with my F hook, or 3.75 millimeters. Have my little rocking horse charm from Colorings by Ellie, holding that one together. This one is about ready for the decreases, I think. It's been a couple days since I worked on this because I got, I only started this project on Monday, so this is 2 days-ish worth of work, just because I had to start, I wanted to start diving into that yarn that I was gifted. But yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. Good Lord, I can't count and hold this up. Yeah, there's 7. So yeah, I'm ready for the decrease on that one, and that'll be the blue pair of booties, and then I will make a white, and then I will go back and make a couple more hats so that I have a hat to go with each pair of booties. And then I need to try a hand. I put in an order with Knit Picks, so I will get some of the sport weight yarn, and I will see how that measures up for size to see if that makes me all the way to the other end of the size scale, because these current booties are about, they're somewhere in between the largest size and the second to largest size that they request. Largest being 9 to 11 pounds, so that would be your newborns in intensive care, and you know, the preemies would be 6 to 8 pounds, which is funny because that's where my kids all ranged were. But I'm pretty sure that's where their stuff was. And then something not in a project bag, but from Delilah. This is one of my electric eel wheel bobbins, and I have one of my Honey Bee Knits fibers spun up. I actually started this on Sunday, so I've actually gotten quite a bit of crafting done in the last couple days, since everything but the booties were started before the, or started after the 1st of the month, and the 1st of the month was on a Friday. So yes, this was a braid that went from, let's see if I can kind of show, so I can't quite see it on the bobbin because a lot of it's underneath, but started off darker and then got lighter and then went back to darker. But of course you can only see half of it because of how it actually ended up on the bobbin. But this is still resting for the rest of today, and then I won't start plying it till probably tomorrow, and I will be doing a what's it called, chain plying this most likely. And again, that is on my electric eel wheel, which is a 5.1, which I have nicknamed Delilah. And Bev, if you're still around, I haven't heard from you in forever. She was the winner who named my spinning wheel. Sorry y'all, I cut yesterday so that we could go ahead and do potty time, and then they decided it was lunchtime, and by the time we got done with that, it's just been rolling effect of I tried to record, and Zane kept messing it up, and I kept rambling on, and so we're going to go ahead and just add in this audio track to wrap up the rest of what I need to tell you. This is kind of more of a life update section and not directly yarny related, so if you want to go ahead and go, that's fine with me, but if you want to stay tuned for just life updates and things, then stay tuned. Alright then, so for starters, I wanted to go ahead and kind of wrap up the things I told you that I would catch you up on from last week, and that started off with Thursday. And I know last week I said facing fears, and then I didn't really have to face any of those fears. But yeah, so I have a friend that decided that I really needed quality one-on-one time with this new counselor. She's pretty much my only in-town friend at the moment. And so she decided she would come over and watch the twins so that I could do my face-to-face or this meeting with my counselor that was out in a public location because the counselor has allergies and can't meet with me in my home. So that meeting actually, since I was on my own or whatever, went a lot better than it probably would have otherwise gone. And the fun thing there is that I discovered that she is also into fiber arts. Now, she has crocheted and doesn't do a lot of it, but I think I helped kind of reunite that love for the fiber arts in her. So that was really exciting to me because as a fellow blind individual, she did not realize that blind people can indeed also read patterns. And yeah, so I was able to expand her horizons by telling her that, you know, not only do I read patterns and do it all the time, but I'm also like a pattern tester. And, you know, I've gotten away from just making blankets in the most part, even though I still do make blankets. It's more of a rare occasion, although it'll be more common as I am helping out with this preemie project. But so yeah, that was fun, and I think that we are a much better match than I was with my original counselor. It's just that little animal allergy thing is kind of going to make it a lot more interesting for us to meet. Now, actually, I was supposed to hear from her yesterday, and because of things that were going on in the last couple days, I have not actually reached out to her, so I need to try and remember to make time for that today. But right now I don't really have time for that because I'm busy doing this. So I don't have any updates on how that has panned out because I haven't gotten more information as of yet, so hopefully there will be more on that next week. Then I mentioned that I was going to have an ENT appointment on Monday, which I did have, but ongoing with my frustrations with people and saying they're going to do something and then not following through and then putting me on the spot for them not following through. So the problem is that this particular doctor, well, I can see that being an issue with a lot of places, but you would think that would have found a way around this. So my dentist gave me a thumb drive with the files on it from the x-ray or whatever, and the software or whatever is blocked by firewalls at this particular doctor's office. And therefore he said, oh, I'll have an IT guy come and try and figure this out. And if I can't get it to work, I'll call you in the next couple days and so we can get a scan scheduled. Well, of course, that never happened. And no, he did not ever get this drive to work. So that's the first thing he opens up with when he comes to my appointment. I'm sitting here like, how is that my problem that you didn't do your job? Right, guys? And so my husband's already freaking out over the bill that we got because I didn't have like anything particularly done. I don't know if the little scope thing he did in that initial meeting was something that was that expensive, but my initial bill for that visit was $600, and we have a high deductible HSA, and so we have to pay all that up front. So my husband's really hesitant to pay for any additional like scans and things without getting information first, because I have no idea why that bill was so high for what, you know, actual service that I have received. So we're kind of going back and forth on that. The one thing that did come out of that appointment was that I am now on a 3-week antibiotic to see if there's just like a festering sinus infection thing that we can knock out. But of course, since they're not getting anything from scans, oh, it's just a mess, guys. And I just wish that I didn't feel like I was just this play toy for the medical community. And that actually is another thing with my mom, which will come up here in a minute. But it's just like anytime we have a medical thing, they can't just be straightforward and go with the information that we have for them. They have to sit there and hem and haw and be like, oh, well, insurance will cover this because we have good health insurance. It's just that we've never really needed our health insurance, so therefore we just have the high deductible. And everyone goes, oh, well, you have this good insurance, so we can do whatever we want. No, you shouldn't do whatever you want just because insurance should cover it, because my insurance doesn't cover it until it's like $3,000 per person or whatever for 1 year of services. And I don't even know if that's the current thing. That was at one point in time, it was $3,000 for an individual on my husband's health insurance plan. So yeah, I was supposed to have a scan, the CT scan, because he was too lazy to get the x-rays to tell. Because my husband said that the dental x-ray is actually a sinus CT scan. I have no idea. I don't do the medical terminology. People don't break things down to me on a normal level. They assume that I can read a sheet of paper and can get all the information I want, which I can't. So I just, I try to absorb things, and so I don't think of that as a question when I'm there in the appointment, because I'm still trying to absorb the information that I've been given, and usually it doesn't tell me enough to know that I have this question until I've discussed it with someone else and realized that there's a missing link to this puzzle. So this CT scan for the sinuses, my husband doesn't want to do because the sinus scan or the dentist scan should have been good enough, and I don't know why they didn't reach out to the dentist's office to get better information, since I gave them the information that I was given from the dentist's office. But anyway, so neither here nor there. We just are basically at the same place, just trying to do different things. But who knows? I've always had drainage issues, and I just really would like them resolved. And I don't know if that's ever going to be a thing, but I would really like to not have to be on so many medications that are over the counter, so that I have to pay for them, and they don't really solve the issues. They just help the issues, if that makes any sense. And sometimes I think they actually make them worse. But, I have to be able to breathe, so that's kind of a interesting thing there. Anyways, so then we get to, that was Monday, and like I said, I was supposed to have a scan today on Thursday, but we're not going to that. We never confirmed the appointment because I was told that I was supposed to get a scan once I've been on this antibiotic for, I think, towards the end of the 3 weeks, and the receptionist didn't have that information. And I'm just like, dude, I need a straight answer one way or another, but I can't ever get it, so whatever. But I am doing the antibiotic just in case you're curious. So then we get to Tuesday, and we find out that my mom is getting checked into a hospital. We were told originally that this was because she was going for an appointment for her kidney function, because she was supposed to go back, I think, in 2 weeks to see if her numbers had improved, because if they hadn't improved, then they were going to have to talk about more drastic measures. And we were just kind of left on the fence to think that all this admitting to the hospital was because they couldn't get a reading that they liked, and they couldn't do this, so they were going to have to send her to Iowa City, and there was no place for her to stay at the hospital in the town she's in. And then yesterday we come to find out that the main reason she is being held is because she is severely dehydrated, and has nothing directly to do with the kidneys, although it does kind of have something to do with kidney function. But and she couldn't even tell me which scan numbers or whatever that this test was particularly for. But the original day, her number was at a 3 point something. And yesterday, her numbers were at a 2 something. And basically anything over a 1 something is at concern level. But I don't even know what that is referring to. I don't know if that has anything to do with the kidneys, if that was like a fluid thing, if it's iron, I have no idea what those numbers relate to. I just know that those were the reasons, because for all I know, because of all her other health issues and things, that her norm is over a 1 anyways. So it's like we've been yanked along. Oh, and she never made it to Iowa City. They didn't have a bed for her in her hometown, so she was taken to the next closest hospital, which is only about a half an hour from Iowa City. But she has been there now and probably will get discharged from there tomorrow. And like I said, they've decided it's more of a hydration issue. And so she is now off of the IV, and because they, I guess, have decided she's hydrated enough. But as she says, she doesn't feel like she should be dehydrated. But as I pointed out, if her kidneys aren't working properly, that she's probably not retaining or absorbing the water and other nutrients from water and like things that she should be. And that's probably why she's dehydrated, but doesn't have the other effects that a person normally would that's dehydrated. Now, I'm trying to basically skim over the top of this because I know that she doesn't want me to air out all her dirty laundry online. But I just kind of trying to put this at a more understandable, or at least at my understanding level of what's going on. So she's basically doesn't feel like she's dehydrated, but is having some of the symptoms, but not other symptoms of being dehydrated. And so they discovered while she was in the hospital that now her blood pressure has dropped a lot. And so they're taking her off a blood pressure medication. And I don't know how long that's for. Yeah, because they're so great at giving us the information that we really need. But at least for now, I think that blood pressure medication is one of the things that actually causes the low kidney function. And so hopefully with being off this medication, that her blood pressure can remain low or lower, and that she will regain some of her kidney function and maybe have the chance at not being quite as dehydrated, even though she is drinking plenty. She's just not getting the benefits of the liquid diet. So anyways, it's just been interesting because I've been on an emotion roller coaster, because even though me and my mom have our differences, which is putting it lightly, she's still my mom. And I know there's another YouTuber that I think I closely relate to that has many big issues with her mom, but we still fall back on the fact that as much as we've had emotional issues with our moms, that there is still our mom when it comes down to it. And I don't want to put her under the bus, so I'm not going to specify which one I'm talking about. But yeah, I don't want her to be suffering, for one, and in this Lenten time I've had a lot of losses, and so not this particular year, but just in general past. And that's how I relate to people's death, is a lot of people that I know have passed away during a holiday, and so those holidays are what bring back the memories. But it's just, Lent is a difficult time for me emotionally, just to deal with all those factors. And then to add in my mom having to go to the hospital for what we can only imagine is she's needs dialysis, and she's not eligible for like surgery or anything because of all her other health problems. And yeah, it was just not the little boost to my morale that I needed. And that was back on Tuesday, which set me, in a mess for yesterday. So that's kind of the behind the scenes, what was going on yesterday, and why I was basically distracted and just tried to kind of get through the sharing with you the things going on, because I did want to share with you all the projects that I'm doing, because I feel like if I don't do this weekly update, they're just not going to happen. Because yeah, I need something that keeps me level, and so that was kind of what I was using to keep me level. But anyways, guys, I have drugged this on far long enough and really need to wrap this up and once again get my children off to lunchtime. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up. And as always, guys, if you like this episode, I'd appreciate it if you could hook the like button and subscribe. And remember, guys, sometimes it's fun to go crafting with us.